Okay, so for the last problem, we were instructed to redo problem one, which is nickels and dimes, but we're making two of the following changes. The changes that I added to mine was adding the second and third item. So we'll be vending three items at the same price. We will have vending one, vending two, vending three as our actual actions, and we'll have 1, 2, 3 as our selections. So moving on to the code. Again, here we go. So our inputs are our nickel and dime, and then whatever our selection is. So again, it will be labeled 1, 2, and 3. And then we'll be outputting, depending on our selection, item 1, item 2, or item 3. So moving on to the VHDL. So here's the FSM code. So again, starting at top, libraries and entity architecture, and moving on to our process. Oh, here we have 13 states, and we have our 4 outputs, which are the change and the 3 vending options. Yeah, so then moving on to our clock process, again, proceeding to next stage on the rising edge of the clock, and then we're beginning our case. So in our initial state, we don't have any of the outputs, so we don't have change, we don't have any of the selections going on, nothing's being vended. If a nickel is inserted, we move state 1, and if a dime is inserted, we proceed state 2. The same thing as, again, the first problem as far as the nickel and dime situation. It's when we get down to where we are. State 8 is when we will have our first selection option. And so when the enough money is 40 cents is inputted, we have a selection of 1, 2, or 3. And depending on whatever you select, then that depends on the state that we move to and what item is being vended. So if a selection of 1, if you're in state 8, you have 40 cents and you select 1. We want item 1, then we move to state 9, and state 9 we're outputting our first item. Same for 2, here is state 10, and selection 3 here in state 11. And then in state 12 is just the change state in itself. So we have if an item selected in state 12, again, it will give you your change. However, you would then have an option as well in this state here, and that is for, I think, for state 7 when we have a dime, just because we have, I think, is 35 cents, and then we're inputting a dime. Then that will give us more than we need. So that is why I have the change being dispensed here, but then also having the selection of whatever item you want. And these states, they just go back to state 9, state 10, and state 11. The dispensing states, they immediately go back to our original state. And yes, so moving on to the simulation. I did not simulate this yet, so moving on to our test bench. So we go ahead and input our component here, and then we go ahead and route the ports and begin our process. So here again, only nickels, or nothing is being selected. And then here we have our selecting item 1. So have a case of insertion of only nickels and selecting item 1. Here we have a case of insertion of only dimes and selecting item 2. And here waiting our 80 nanoseconds, and then we're going ahead and selecting our item 2, waiting for 40 so that cycle can complete. And then here we mix it up a little bit, just inserting 3 nickels and 3 dimes, and then selecting item 3, just kind of making sure that everything works. And yeah, so 3 nickels, 3 dimes, selection of item 3. Then now we're going to move on to the simulation.